It's time to start the slumber party!
Stay inside, stay quiet, and stay safe.
Hello?
Whoa, dog.
I love you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Fresh Cuts. This is Mike, and joining me as always, it's Mr. Venom. What's up?
Greetings and salutations, pajama lovers. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, Mike. How you doing?
Pretty good. In the ever-continuing saga of my receiver issue, the 4K receiver replacement showed up today, so I'm good to go. Can't wait to hook it up later tonight.
Thank you for telling us the end of the story nobody needed to hear.
I have no idea
Yep.
what the fuck you guys are talking about.
Oh, you missed the first 3 chapters, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but the saga is over. Unless I go to plug this one in and like it has no power, then the next chapter or the sequel will be even me more angry. But for the foreseeable future, it's all solved and I'm happy again. But joining us as well as always, it's Don and Ellie. What's up, Don?
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? Yeah, great to be here as always.
And joining us as well, the voice of confusion a second ago, it's our No More Room in Hell co-host, Derek. What's up, Derek?
Hey, Michael, what's going on? I told you I was going to talk like this on the other podcast, but I'm on this podcast now.
When
I'm
did
a little-
Willis get here?
Hey, man,
Yeah.
fuck you, Venom. You like that fucking original Suspiria, motherfucker. I like that remake with that old guy that walks for 4 hours. Fuck that shit.
Walk-in Wheeler.
Oh, my God, I love it.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. It's another blending of both the shows. So this should be a fun one. And who knows? Maybe Derek will be coming back for future episodes. We will find out. But yeah, we are discussing Slumber Party Massacre. So a little background: we probably would have originally been doing, was it last night?
Mhm.
One night in Soho, last night
Last
in
night,
Soho.
yep. Mhm.
But for some reason, very recently, they decided to push it back to this coming up Friday, which coincides with the release of Antlers. So we will have to do some maneuvering, possibly to maybe do 2 episodes and then take a week off following it. Whether we release both episodes the same week or hold one so it maintains the weekly thing, we'll figure that out in the future. But we plan on covering both of them, even though 2 movies in, 2 releases in 1 week is usually beyond what we cover, just because it's a movie per episode. But we'll figure it out. But with that said, yeah, Slumber Party Massacre, the remake, kinda, I guess. It's labeled as a reimagining of the Roger Corman 1982 slasher film. So we'll go with that because there's plenty of differences. I mean, I do feel they kind of went in their own direction, but more on that with our general thoughts. So the synopsis, actually that was the synopsis. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought that was just like them labeling it. But yeah, a reimagining of Roger Corman's 1982 slasher film is what we get as a synopsis. I suppose if anyone's listening, if you're familiar with Slumber Party Massacre, that's good enough for you.
Yeah,
but,
Gordy's my favorite character. The original.
Cool. And so we will start with general thoughts. Venom, what did you think of Slumber Party Massacre? Oh, and let me just say, Sci-Fi Network
Shout
is
Factory.
the one that put this out. Yeah, Shout Factory. And yeah, so general thoughts, Venom, take it away.
All right. Well, I have to caveat my review with a little statement. Obviously, this is Slumber Party Massacre. I'm not gonna review this movie like it's an A24 film or like it's some, big budget theatrical, horror event like a Halloween Kills. It's Slumber Party Massacre. I could tell you that the dialogue is not well written, but I think you already know that. I could tell you that the acting in it is subpar, but I think you already know that. So I'm just gonna stick to kind of what my expectations were for this film, and my expectations were very, very low. I mean, I enjoy the original Slumber Party Massacre. It's not a favorite of mine by any stretch, but I do enjoy it for what it is. It's very sleazy. It was meant to be a parody of slasher films of the time, but I know a lot of film critics didn't quite catch that and just saw it as like a very misogynistic, exploitative film. But like I said, the critics just kind of missed the parody aspect of it. So let's go into Slumber Party 2021. I'm gonna actually say that I mildly enjoyed this because of my low expectations. I found myself somewhat how can I put it? Kind of not turned off by the characters. This kind of style, this kind of 90s, early 2000s style slasher with a bunch of beautiful people in it, getting picked off, generally is filled with just vapid, unlikable characters. And I will say there are still a couple in this, but luckily, we get a cast of about 11, 12, 13 main characters. And really, there's only a couple of them that are genuinely unlikable. Most of them come off as, fairly organic, believable. One of them comes off as incredibly bubbly, but and I will admit that character does get annoying at times. The one character that I really hated was the younger sister. I forget her name. I think it was Alex or Alice, something like that. Ashley? I don't know. Whatever. The younger sister who kind of stowawayed on the little slumber party trip. She annoyed me to no end, but, I digress. Ultimately, I thought the kills in this were pretty effective, despite being CG a lot. Since they take place at night or in low lit rooms, it still works for me. The drill effects, for the most part, work for me. The CG blood, like I said, because of the dark lighting, was acceptable. I'm not going to say that it was stellar or even good, but it was acceptable. I thought, our kind of rehash of Russell Thorne was pretty cool. Our original killer from Slumber Party Massacre. I thought it was cool to see another interpretation of that killer. This movie has two major twists in it, which obviously we won't get into here. And I will say that I enjoyed one of them and I absolutely hated the other. So, this movie's batting 50-50, for as far as its twists. But ultimately, I thought the movie had its charm. Some of the characters, like I said, are very likable. I do like the main character. I may not be as big a fan of her mother. Again, we'll get into that in the spoiler section. But the main character herself, I did kind of enjoy most of what she did and said. And once we get the reveal of that first twist, I was even more on board with these characters. It was the second twist, the one that we get at the end of the film, that I just thought was very derivative and silly. And it basically rips off a very famous early 80s slasher movie, which, again, I'm not going to get into here because it basically gives away the whole third act of this film if I do. So I'm just going to say that going into this film with my low expectations, I actually walked away from this mildly entertained. It's only an hour and 26 minutes. It's a quick watch. There are some pretty juicy kills in this movie for a sci-fi movie, basically a television movie. It had some decent kills, a little bit of gore. And I will say that I know that there's going to be a lot of misogynists maybe who watch this movie and are turned off by two particular scenes in this film. I actually thought it was kind of comical and poignant that they kind of reverse roles in this, where instead of making the girls, the sexy kind of focus of everything, they tried to switch it up a little bit and almost like they were giving something to the ladies with this movie, giving the ladies something to enjoy. And ultimately, even though my manly man self may not have enjoyed the scenes, I enjoyed the fact that they were in there, why they were in there, and the commentary that they were basically saying. So I'm just going to say that overall, this is not a great movie. It's not going to change the world. I don't think it's going to be on anybody's top 10 at the end of the year. But I was mildly entertained. I was mildly satisfied. I may never watch this film again. In fact, I have no plans to ever sit down and watch this film again. But for one watch, for an hour and 26 minutes, I got some blood, I got some kills, I got some attractive, women to look at. The ladies get some attractive guys to look at. And then we get the silly twist at the end, and maybe not the most satisfying ending for a slasher, but it is what it is. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to say mildly entertained and maybe even mildly surprised, because I was ready to hate this film going in. But maybe because of that, I look at this maybe with slightly rose-colored glasses. But for whatever it's worth, I'm going to say I was surprisingly entertained, and I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
All right, Don, what are your thoughts on Slumber Party Massacre?
I'm kind of in line with Venom, although I liked it a little bit more than him from what it sounds like. I do agree with a lot of what he said. I do think that, for one, I'm not the biggest fan of the original Slumber Party Massacre anyway. It's decent, I'll give it that, but it's not my favorite in that scene, and it's okay. The sequels aren't bad, but I don't really remember them. Even though I actually watched them last year for Halloween, ironically.
You can never forget Slumber Party Massacre too, especially with that killer rockabilly.
But he's a jackass, so I don't really care for him. He's actually one of the weakest parts of the film for me. I actually can't stand him. I think he's lame.
You're not the only one. I heard that through the years. I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
once you see that, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So, anyways, like I said, I think this is kind of fun in some regards. I do like a lot of the inversions to slasherdom. I think this one's actually a better job at parodying it than the original does. I actually don't even really I know that it was originally scripted as a parody, but I don't know if it actually comes off as one in the finished form. I don't see that at all. But in terms of, like I said, parodying slasher tropes, I think this one does it a lot better, especially with the inversion of a lot of the different elements involved here. The girls are actually the smart ones. The guys are the lovable jerk off, jackasses, jerk offs, whatever you want to call it. The ones that are just ditzy and kind of stupid. Sometimes it's kind of intolerable. Sometimes, though, I actually kind of like the way that they handle it. It just kind of depends on where the scene is at times. I was actually kind of surprised at the gore. I didn't even realize this was CG. I thought this was all practical. And maybe the after effects are practical, but CGI for the impact, I think that's... If you say it's CGI, then I'm probably going to have to lean that way. Because I thought it was all practical. So that was kind of surprising. The twist. Let's just save that for spoilers, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's just save the twist for spoilers. But all in all, I kind of I like this more than I thought I was. It's probably up there as one of my favorites in the franchise, if we can call this a franchise. But mildly surprised. Kind of wanting to watch an unrated cut of this for any if that ever comes to light. I'd kind of be interested in where that goes, but better than I expected. Had to have a few issues here and there, but like I said, better than expected.
Yeah, I would imagine there is going to be a uncut version, because I mean, even in this version that we saw, there's like mosaics covering some nudity. So I can't imagine that they shot it with that intention of having mosaics in there. So I would imagine when the physical release comes out, it'll be an R-rated or unrated cut. At least I hope.
Yeah, Shout Factory will put this out on Blu-ray since they own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Derek, what did you think of Slumber Party Massacre?
You mean Willis? It's my fucking favorite movie of the year, motherfuckers. But no, I kind of agree with what everyone's saying here. I liked it. Actually, I'm actually probably the hugest fan of the original Slumber Party Massacre. I just love like the cheesiness of it, and I love the black chick that is like the eats pizza off a dead guy in that movie. And Courtney, who's actually my favorite, is the little horny sister in the original. I love her. I do kind of agree with the little sister, and I wish she was a little more hornier. You do get some scenes of that, like when she's playing with that sculpture thing later with the big penis, and she's like, "I've seen bigger ones." You get some fun with that, you know, something happens near the end, and I'm looking at the runtime. This movie's still going? What the fuck is going on? And then, it keeps going, and then, yeah, we'll get to it in a minute when we get to the spoilers, but yeah, that was kind of lazy when they did that. But overall, I enjoyed it for the most part. I like the kills, especially like some of the after effects, like later on, especially that one dude. Oh, it's fucking
The
Mwah!
guitar string. The guitar string.
Yeah,
Yes, I
that was the
love that
best,
one.
and Russ Thorne was like, for some weird reason, he looked like Melvin from Renaissance Man. If you guys know that Danny DeVito movie from the early 90s. Yeah, that's who you reminded me of. But good stuff. I liked it for what it was. Was it mind blowing? No. Did I have fun watching it? Kinda. It was kind of silly and goofy. And the thing I like about it is actually we just did a movie called Tower of Evil, and it has kind of like a similar setup to like the beginning of this movie, which I kind of liked. But yeah, we'll get into it all in the spoilers. But yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part for what it was. Some cheesy, like that whole shower scene. I was like, what the fuck? Did David Dakota direct this scene?
Exactly.
Did David Dakota come in? And another thing I wanted to add, I did kind of like that, the original, actually, weirdly enough, the original Slumber Party Massacre was written by two women.
Mhm.
And actually, the writer of the original was a feminist writer. And I like that the remake was actually written and directed by two women, too. So they kind of kept in line with the series, even if it was like a reboot / reimagine.
Mhm.
So I did kind of like that, because actually it's weird, because actually all three of the original Slumber Party Massacre movies were directed by women, which you never see in this kind of genre at all, at that time period. So
Mhm.
yeah, it big ups for sticking to, the motifs of that,
Yeah. So as far as I go, pretty much in line with all you guys. It was a lot more fun than I expected. It's not a movie I would call great. Probably not something that I'm going to make a habit out of watching. But when it was first announced, typical for me to not even be all that enthused about a remake, period. But a Slumber Party Massacre, which the original I think is, it's an okay movie, not one of my favorites. And like that, it was like premiering on Sci-Fi. I was like, okay, excitement meter continuing in the wrong direction, but finally got around to watching it, and got to say, a lot better than I expected. Pretty decent kills. I do think there's a couple that, if you guys were alluding to a possible like uncut, if they ever put it on physical media, or even like VOD or something, maybe they would release it. There are a couple kills that look like we might get different angles on them that might up the gore level or just impact shots. But for the most part, I thought the kills were pretty good and inventive. And there was one involving like an old Chevy, like I don't know if it was a truck or Suburban. That one was pretty cool. And like you said, the twists, we'll go over those when we get into spoilers, because one I thought was semi decent, the other one was like, oh, okay. And
they kind of homage a lot of slack. Like at one point, I'm like, did this movie just turn the Nail Gun Massacre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that they flipped some of the overtly like awkward sexual stuff, where they go with like the opposite sex. It's pretty goofy, and I think they play it on purpose like that, which I think one of you guys, it looks like they definitely do it on purpose, just as like a nod. And I think I do kind of like that we get some pushback. Now this will be interesting, because I could see where people don't like it, but I thought it was okay in a movie like this, where we kind of get pushback against like what's going on as far as dialogue, like when the killer gets confronted, or how can I put it without spoiling? I'll save it for spoilers, but I do like that we kind of get like the girls or victims kind of like almost like the way they react to what's going on. I'll say some of the ones that are surviving longer into the movie when they figure out like motivation and stuff, because it's stuff that like, you know, slashers of old, it was never really questioned, even though you could kind of look at it objectively and think it's an absurd reason, but there was never much pushback on it. Where now maybe it's just a sign of the times when you're writing a movie for 2021. It's like, you're doing this, why? Well, what the fuck? Because of, you know, well, this is why we did this. And so it's kind of interesting. I see potential there where people might have thought, is it getting political? But it didn't feel like it was like making a hard stand or trying to take it overtly serious. It was more just kind of like almost mocking the fact that we just went along with these silly premises back then.
I was getting kind of scared when the first twist happens, because I'm like, if somebody just screams "Evil dies at night," I'm gonna have it.
Jesus Christ!
Evil dies in the woods tonight. But overall, I do find this enjoyable. I would tell people, throw it on, give it a shot. I would say at least give this one a chance, because I have a feeling this is one that a lot of people probably won't give a chance to, and understandably so, just based on
it premiering on Sci-Fi Channel.
Premiering on Sci-Fi, and if you're not the biggest fan of the original, or if, you know, whatever, you just might not seem interesting, but it's easily accessible, so I would say give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of mindless 80s slashers, I can't see why you wouldn't be a fan of this, unless you went in with too high expectations. Like I said, it is 2021. It's 40 plus years, or right around 40 years after, actually, since the slasher boom of the early 80s. And I think for some reason people think that a slasher in 2021 needs to be more intelligent. I'm one of the people that kind of tends to say that sometimes, but you know what? It is also nice to just shut your brain off and not have any expectations of a film whatsoever. I mean, if I go to watch Puppet Master Chapter 14, I'm not expecting The Exorcist. So if they give me even a mildly entertaining film, I'm going to say that I had a good time and that it exceeded my expectations. And I'm going to solidly say this film exceeded my expectations. I did not expect to even like a bit of it, but I actually found myself, as I've already said, liking certain characters, liking certain scenarios. One of the twists, like I said, I was very down for, the kills, blah, blah, blah. The movie has a lot going for it. I think the only way that you're going to hate every single aspect of this film is if you just go in expecting too much, like I said. So yeah, just clear your head. I'm not going to say on your way into the theater, because this is obviously a VOD release, or it's free on Sci-Fi if you have the Sci-Fi channel, which is how I watched it. So yeah, folks, it's called Slumber Party Massacre. Do we really expect The Shining? I mean, curb your expectations a little bit and have a good time. And look, this is coming from the same guy who kind of poo-pooed Halloween Kills last week, and kind of for the same reasons, because I expect more from a Halloween movie in 2021 than I did in 1980, so I'm like I said, that's going to be my major theme for the episode. Just curb your expectations, and I think you'll have a good time, assuming you like cheesy 80s slashers. And yeah, because I mean, I'm literally in the middle of watching 26 1981 films. Obviously, most of them are slashers, and I'm just falling in love with this, this time period and this genre. And this movie, despite being solidly a 2021 movie with technology, cell phones, everything else, it still kind of has the DNA of an 81 slasher. So, like I said, curb your expectations. I think you'll have a good time. Let's move on.
Hell yeah. Willis is back, yeah.
Thank you, Willis.
Willis endorses your general thoughts, Venom.
I like it.
Yeah, and I liked Halloween Kills. It was my favorite movie of the year, motherfucker.
No, that was Malignant.
I hate fucking Malignant. It had a fucking Siamese twin that did Kung Fu.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
See what happens when you invite me on?
Yeah, really. Jeez, you've been drinking?
No, my Willis Gabriel is coming out of me.
I gotcha. All right. Anything else we can talk that's non-spoiler? I mean, there's not really any performances to highlight, really. I mean, Russell Thorne is about the only, you know, he seems like the only actor who's actually trying in this movie. And really, since he's just playing batshit crazy, it's not all that hard. I like the whole thing with him never actually looking at someone like directly. Like he always turned his head and then like side-eyed everybody. Like that's his that's his default stance. He side-eyes everyone.
You
and I kind of like that. Yeah.
It almost made him look like he could be related to William Sadler, like the way he was like.
Yeah.
He was fucking Melvin from fucking The Rock.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really have anything else non-spoiler.
I like the slutty girl. You know,
I liked all the girls, honestly. I thought they all. I mean, I've already said that I kind of disliked the young girl because she was a bitch for no reason, and then the kind of silly girl who found everything sad. Oh, that's so sad. She got annoying after a little while, but she was still adorable. So you know,
yeah.
I don't have to listen to her words. I can just look at her, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm just happy they were all brunettes. It's like this movie was made for me in so many ways.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can get into spoilers now. So there's your warning for spoilers.
Hey. So I mean, you know, obviously we.
So who's pissed off more at the fact that the brunette had to take her pasties out than she?
I thought that was fucking hysterical. I will admit I wasn't happy that they weren't as big as we were made to believe they were, just like when it happened to me in real life, but that's a story for another podcast. But I still found it incredibly hysterical. You know, once we get that reveal and she's like, "Oh God, I don't have to be the slut anymore. Thank God." I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That was to me, that was the part that won me over on this film. I was like, "Oh my God, this is hysterical."
It's so hard to be the hot chick, I think was the exact line. I laughed my ass off.
That was the part that won me over, and that was the one that I was like, I was kind of teetering and tottering between whether or not to like it or dislike it. But then as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, this one's winning me over. I'm kind of enjoying this one.
Yeah, exactly.
It shows the attempt to do something creative and a little bit different as opposed to just straightforward remaking a movie.
Setup in the film, the main setup is actually an attempt to do something different because, you know, they're aware of the killer the entire time. They're going there specifically to kill the killer.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's
exactly.
Did you guys feel weird that Russ Thorne never aged?
Well, this isn't the actor, right? They got a different actor.
No, it's the same guy.
Is this actually him from? Holy shit! Then yeah, he did not age.
No, I meant like from the flashback scene with the mom.
Oh, okay. Kinda, yeah, but I mean, I think they said, how many years? Those girls couldn't have been more than like 18. So
no, it's because every time Russ Thorne kills, he transcends.
Callbacks to last week. So fun.
Imagine, but I did kind of like that it began like it was the end of a slasher movie, and then you're in the sequel. It's kind of I kind of like that idea of it.
Yeah, we got a very color by numbers cold open. 4 girls, in a cabin in the woods. Russ Thorne shows up. Drill, drill, drill. One of the girls survives. Oh, by the way, did you notice that they didn't even attempt to put any scarring on the mom's hands?
Yeah.
She took a 2-inch fucking drill bit through her right hand, leaving a Jesus Christ size hole. And there was no scar.
When she waves goodbye on the trip, there's a scar on her hand. They make a dramatic musical sting.
That's weird because when she hugs her daughter, they show the top of both of her hands and there is no scar whatsoever. And that drill went through her hand. Through.
It's on her palm.
It's on the palm of her hand.
I will fully. I'm okay if I missed it, but why isn't it on the top of the hand? Literally. Because
she's holding the can from the bottom.
Yeah, it was the can.
She's holding the can from the bottom. She holds the can up and she's sticking it out like she's catching it like a baseball glove. She grabs the can and she sticks the can into his hand like a baseball.
No, I'm talking about when she's hiding in the closet and he drills through the door through her hand. Did you? Yeah. Remember, she hides in the pantry. He sees her through the crack, he drills through, and it goes right through her right hand, completely through. And we even see the hole. She shows the hole, the Jesus Christ size hole in her fucking hand. Yet, like I said, no scar on the top of her hand. It's a minor nitpick. Ultimately, I understand that, but it's still.
I thought you were complaining about there not being any wound on her hand to begin with, because there was one on her hand when the girls leave to go on the trip. She's standing in the doorway and waves goodbye, and there's a hole on her hand.
Okay, I missed that.
Not like a hole, but there's a
scar.
There's a massive
like a crater scar. Yeah.
I said, when she hugs her daughter, we clearly see both of her hands, both of the top, because that's what I thought. I'm like, because she has the same hairdo as the girl in the cold open. So I'm like, oh shit, is that her? I mean, that would make sense. But then when she hugs her daughter, no scars on the top of either of her hands. And that bothered me because the drill went through her fucking hand. So, like I said, minor nitpick, no big deal.
I didn't even know when she's in the pantry, I didn't even think she got nicked. I think she just was like startled because it got too close to her.
No, it went through her hand. They show the hole. She clearly holds her hand up, and there's a hole in her hand. It went completely through. That's it's not a big deal.
Maybe the plastic surgeon was better on the other side.
That's what I was thinking. Like later in the movie, when the mom makes reference that she has no feeling in that hand, I thought we were gonna get like a Jedi thing where she got a fake hand or something, but no, that's a real hand because it bled everything. But like I said, minor nitpick. It's one of the things that I noticed that kind of bothered me. But again, no big deal. I don't care. It's not like it brings the movie down at all. So so like I said, we find out that that the survivor of the cold open is now a mother herself. Her daughter and 3 of her friends are now going away. They're going away to a cabin for the weekend. They lie to her mom about where they're going. And then obviously we've already talked about the first reveal, which is that the girls are very aware of Russell Thorne's existence and that they are there purposely to kill him to get revenge for the mother for what happened to her, I assume 18, 19 years earlier. So maybe 20 plus, I don't know. But once we get that reveal, I'm starting to get more on board with the movie, because up to that point it was, like I said, kind of color by numbers slasher, nothing too special. Kind of vapid girls with not a whole lot to offer, personality wise, other than our main girl. What was her name? Dana. Dana was like the only one that I thought actually kind of had a little bit of a personality. Not to say that any of the girls other than the youngest sister were hateable necessarily. Like I said, I didn't like the younger sister. She was a bitch for no fucking reason. I mean, she wasn't even supposed to be on this trip. She stowed away in the back of the truck. And then after a big conversation, they allow her to stay, but she continues acting like an absolute bitch. And then once we get to the country, we get the old horror slasher stereotype of city folks treating country folks like shit, which, again, see, at this point, I was ready to hate the movie because I'm like, here we go. All the tired tropes, all the stupid crap that I'm constantly railing about. But then, like I said, we get that reveal that the girls are actually there, with a purpose. And it kind of elevated the film a little bit for me. It made me kind of like it. And then I think what's going to be kind of divisive is then the introduction of the boys, the male characters. There's 5 guys staying at a cabin across the lake. 5 or 4? I forget already. I think it was 5, right? Guy 1, guy 2.
Yeah.
I think there was 4 because then there was the gas guy too.
Right. There was the guy who had his eyes poked out. That was the gas station dude. Or the mechanic guy, whatever.
Yeah, I think there's 5.
That's what I was thinking, because there was 2 guys named Guy, which it was a running joke. But the funny thing is that at the moment in the film when the joke occurred, it's like, this is not a time and place to be joking about, Guy. Well, there's 5 guys. No, there's only 2 guys, but there's 5 of us here. And the joke just kept going from there. The girls apparently didn't understand that there were 2 of the guys were actually named Guy. So there's Guy 1 and Guy 2. That turned into kind of like a weird, insipid joke, but that I normally would have liked. But just at the time that it happened, like, 2 or 3 people had already been killed. And I'm just like, this is not the time and the place to have a pun battle, So just weird placement is all. But overall, I did enjoy most of the banter between the guys and the girls. Like Don mentioned earlier, the guys are more the vapid, silly characters who don't know shit, whereas the girls are like the ones who are prepared. They're armed. They have a plan.
Ironically, they're podcasters.
And they all listen to this one podcast, which I actually thought was kind of funny, that all these people, because this actually happens, people listen to podcasts, they'll listen to true crime podcasts, and they'll want to stay at places where famous crimes have existed. Like the Visalia axe murders in Missouri. People want to stay in that house because it's such a famous murder, blah, blah, blah. Lizzie Borden's house, shit like that. So I just thought that kind of injection of 2021 subculture, I just thought really worked for me. I know a lot of times when podcasters are brought up in these types of films, it's usually with kind of a negative light. But in this one, they're not actually talking about podcasters themselves so much as a show that they all listened to that talked about Russell Thorne and, the cabin and everything that happened and that his body was never found and blah, 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 blah. So like I said, for the most part, it's not stellar storytelling by any stretch, but it worked for me. Like I said, I was expecting crap and I got slightly polished crap. So that's a win for me. Okay, where are we? I guess we can get to the kind of the spot where Derek said the movie can't be over yet, because basically about an hour into the film, our girls actually get the upper hand on Russell Thorne, and believe it or not, they kill the shit out of him. They cut his throat. They stab him multiple times. They hack at his dead body. I love these girls because this is the kind of shit I would be doing. I would literally just keep hacking the guy every couple of minutes until the cops got there, just to fucking make sure he didn't get back up.
Even the girl you hated was like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and she was awesome. After Russell Thorne was already dead, the younger sister comes out and stabs him like a dozen times. I thought that was funny as hell. Again, something that would normally bother me in a lot of these movies, but it tickled me here. So for whatever it's worth, it worked for me.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. One, because it was really unexpected, and then the younger one. I mean, when she just came out in a fury like that, it was cool.
No 13 or 14-year-old should be that angry with the world. God damn, she was angry.
Well, she was fucking sexually frustrated. She was playing with that little figurine dong earlier.
That's right, the penis man. She called him. Do you want the penis man or not? And then right after this scene is when they start when they did they kind of subverted, or not subverted, but almost tried to explain a trope, and that's the trope of the killer's body disappearing. In this movie, like I said, they kill the shit out of Russ Thorne. He is deader than shit, unless he's Michael Myers, which thankfully he's not.
Evil dies tonight.
So Evil did die tonight in this one. And what's funny is that the main girl tells the girl who drove them there, watch the body. And she's like, what do you mean watch the body? He's dead. She's like, I don't care. I'm not taking any chances. You sit there and you watch the body. As soon as Dana leaves, she then tells her younger sister, Alex, hey, watch the body. Now, mind you, Alex is underage, and within a minute of standing there, she's like, I'm bored, fuck this, and she walks away.
And she's gonna eat all these cookies.
Yeah, oh god, the cookies. We'll get to the cookies. But she ends up walking away from the body, leaving it alone, basically saying, I'm bored, this is bullshit. She actually flips off the body as she's walking away, and then we all know what happens. A minute later, the fucking body is gone. And I'm actually surprised that they weren't more pissed off at Alex. Like they just kind of brush it under the carpet. But I would have just been so pissed off at her. It's like, have you never fucking seen a horror movie? Watch the damn body.
Well,
Well,
I can kind of give them a little bit of leeway because they only discover it because they come under attack.
Very true. Well, no. They look out the window before they come under attack and see that the body's gone. Then they're attacked.
Because remember the one girl gets the nail gun in the eye, and then that's what causes them to look out?
Nail gun massacre.
No, they looked out before that. They looked out before any nails were fired. The nails started getting fired right after Dana looked out the window and said, where the hell's the body? And then they all get up and look out the window. Then the nails start coming.
That's when Slumber Party Massacre turns into Nail Gun Massacre.
There you go. Yeah, we get like a solid 5-10 minutes of nothing but nail gun attacks. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on, we do lose one of the girls. I think we lose the
hot
cute
one,
right? The one who was always sad about everything. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, I think she's the one that takes the nail in the eyeball.
No, I think no, she was the one that got killed in the fucking car.
In the truck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she got killed in the truck. Fan blades.
Yeah.
Which was another pretty decent kill. Because what's funny too is that when I started watching that scene, the first thing I said is, where the hell is the exhaust fan hood? Like, there should be a hood there, over the fucking blade. And then after the kill happens, we see the killer walk out of the truck and he throws the guard on the floor. He took it out before she went to work on the car. Fucking brilliant. It's one of those tiny little things that, most people wouldn't even notice, but anybody who knows anything about cars notices it. And then they fucking rewarded us at the end of the scene. It's like, that's like, what do you call it? Serotonin in my brain. It's like, thank you for doing that. A small percentage of viewers are going to appreciate that. And I'm one of them. And I thank them for doing it. So yeah, we lost the cute one in the truck with the fan. Then it was the fake sexy
one. Yeah.
Yeah. The fake hot one with the paste or the plastic boobies. She's the one who takes but what bothers me about that scene is that she literally walks up to the window, looks out, a nail gets shot at her, goes through the glass and comes within like a half inch of hitting her in the face. Then you start to see the window crack. The glass in the window starts to crack. She ducks and covers while the glass shatters, finishes shattering and falling to the floor. And then what the fuck does she do? She gets up and looks out the window. That was so annoying. I mean, again, I know it's a parody. I know people have to do stupid things in these movies to advance the plot, but goddamn, I thought she was smarter than that, but apparently she's not. Somebody said there was no blondes in this movie. I'm going to say she was really a blonde and just colored her hair black, because that was just one of the silliest things to do ever. Sorry, blonde listeners. I'm not insulting you, en masse by any stretch, but it's the old movie trope, of course, that we're all falling on. So I just thought that decision was so silly. I don't know. What else? What else you guys want to talk about with this?
Damn it, Venom, I love blondes.
Hey, you don't love blondes. Shit. I mean,
Derek don't love blondes. Me, I'm Wild Man Willis. But, yeah, man.
But I think the only thing left is the final reveal of the second killer.
Yeah, like I said, we've skipped a couple of set pieces, obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot of puking from Alex or Axel or whatever Axel Rose is.
Yeah. Basically, as far as the puking goes, the lady who they met earlier in the movie who rented this cabin out to them left them a package of cookies like at their door, I guess just as a welcome or thank you for staying with us or whatever. But no one ever ate the cookies until the next day after Russell Thorne was dead. Then Alex starts eating the cookies because she's hungry. She's the youngest one. She needs the most energy. She's eating the cookies. No one else is touching the cookies. And then suddenly Alex passes out, first she starts puking immensely. I mean, I don't know how many cookies she ate, but she's puking like buckets.
All of them she ate. She even says
she
it
must
in the movie.
She must have eaten every goddamn one in there. So she ends up, kind of passing out. Luckily the poison doesn't like take her out completely. And then we get our second reveal. And what is our second reveal? He
was my son!
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at least 3 of us saw that reveal coming way before it got there. Because I'm instantly like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you actually going to do Friday the 13th? And what happens? Here comes fucking Betsy Palmer. By the way, Betsy Palmer, who did it way better than the woman in this movie. What's her name? Stephanie Stein, I guess is the name of the actress. She plays Kay Thorne. We don't know her last name up until this point, of course. And that's the big reveal that Kay, the woman who rented this cabin out to them, is actually the mother of Russell Thorne. And the reason that she left the poison cookies wasn't because she was trying to kill the girls. She was just trying to poison them enough so that they would fall asleep, and that I think the exact line that she says is, "Then you won't tempt my son. If you're asleep, if you just sleep through the whole night, you won't tempt my son, and he won't kill you." So, of course, we're back to the old trope of women being responsible for men's lust and, all the different feelings that we have for women. Of course, it's women's fault. And it's a woman, too, saying this, which is so weird. It is an old woman, too. So, she's kind of stuck in whatever, the 60s and 70s.
Old ways.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a little problematic, but again, when
especially coming from a film written and directed by women too.
Right, and that's why I think it's very obviously a parody. Because with the original movie, if you guys remember the original movie, there were a slew of naked shots that were pointless. There was no reason for a bunch of the nude shots other than to just show women naked. And the fact that the movie was written by women and directed by a woman, I'm like, oh, this is definitely a parody. Because why would a female director purposely exploit female actresses? I'm not going to say that's never happened. I don't know.
Well, I got an answer for you for that for the original.
What's that?
It's Roger. I got an answer for you for the original, and that's Roger Corman.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
he
thought that was more
he put those rape scenes. No, it's a lot of his movies, man.
No, I understand, but I mean, I remember reading an article years ago with either, I don't remember who, but it was one of the women that was responsible for the original, and they were flat out like, yeah, this is a parody. We threw all these vapid, silly women into this movie, made them naked throughout the majority of it, just to kind of, hold a mirror up to society and say, oh, is this what you want? Well, here you go. They were actually hoping that it would start a bigger conversation, but apparently we as men were so misogynistic back in 1982 that we didn't even see it as a parody. To this day, some people don't see it as a parody. Don mentioned earlier he didn't see it as one. And it's not an obvious parody. It's not like an Airplane movie or Scary Movie where it's very obviously a parody. It's one of those subtle parodies, but I think it's still there, especially because the people behind it say that it is. As far as how much of it is in here, obviously we can all make our different opinions about, is this a straight up parody? Is this part parody, part subtext, blah, blah, blah. I actually wanted to disagree with Mike with something that he said earlier. He was talking about how the social commentary here isn't as thick. I'm going to disagree because there's actually a fucking line in the movie about toxic masculinity. And it's said by a man. One of the guys in the movie actually says, my toxic masculinity won't let me make a smart decision. Like, he literally does something stupid and then defends it by saying, well, I'm a guy. So you can see how they kind of flip the script on, the silly girls of the 80s are now the silly guys of the 2020s. So, like I said, that part of it I appreciated. The shower scene, as I'm watching it, I'm like, I can't get mad at this. I literally spent the last 40 plus years of my life watching naked women in horror movies and never once complaining. It would be really hypocritical of me to sit here and say, this is gratuitous. This shouldn't be in here. So honestly, I was laughing through the whole thing. And this is a very sensual, shower scene. This is a buff, good looking guy. And
close-ups of his man boobs and shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had the pecs, he had the six pack. The camera is slowly panning up and down. I mean, it's literally exactly what we would have seen from a female character, in the original or whatever. So, like I said, I appreciated it. I'm not going to sit here and say I quote unquote enjoyed it, because that might say something weird about me. But I did like the fact that they flipped the script and at least gave us something a little different. And like I said, if a movie like this is going to get more women into the genre, because not every horror movie has to be filled with tits and ass, you can actually throw some naked guys in there every now and again, I'm all for it. Bring everyone into my community, I don't know how you guys feel.
Proclamation: tits and dicks for everyone.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah. I mean, if tits are okay, then dicks gotta be too. It would be hypocritical not to think that way. So yeah, rock on, horror movie film directors. Throw all the dicks and all the tits in there.
Yeah, David Dakota, do it.
All right, so like I said, after we get our big reveal that it's actually Mother and that she, was trying to poison them so that she wouldn't tempt, or so that the women wouldn't tempt her son, she shows back up at the cabin, under the guise of trying to be helpful. But as she's walking Dana back to, I forget where they were walking exactly during that conversation. What's that?
No, I was gonna say because she was walking back to the cabin because she went to see the last guy that was left, and he drove off and left.
And he drove off and left her, right? And
Yeah.
that's another little bit of comedy that actually kind of works for me. The fact that the guys don't ultimately believe that Russell Thorne is there. They actually think that it's the girls that are like psychos, that they're actually killed because they're armed, when the guys first go to visit, when two of the guys first go visit the girls, one of them sees that there's knives in the pillow, that one of the girls has like a big old buck knife inside of the pillow. And instantly he gets fearful. They leave right away. And then you can kind of see where the comedy is going to go. It's going to be a lot of misunderstandings, that are going to build the comedy here. And then that culminates in that scene that Derek was just talking about, where the last guy left alive left Dana, basically says, I'll give you a ride back to the cabin. And then as soon as he gets in the truck, he just takes off and leaves her alone. She ends up bumping into Kay. She ends up running into Kay, Russ Thorne's mother, in the woods. They end up walking back to the cabin. During that walk, Kay ends up admitting something, or Dana just kind of figures it out and says, wait a minute, are you Russ Thorne's mother? And then she kind of admits it. They get into a fight. They're wrestling around, blah, blah, blah. And then, we get our basic kind of slasher movie ending. Our final girls are fighting with the real killer, if you will. Not to say that Russell Thorne wasn't actually killing people, but I think we all kind of know where he gets it now, since Mama is now happily wiping all these people out in the name of her son. What ends up happening is in the final fight scene where Dana and Kay are kind of rolling around in the cabin, Dana's mother shows up. And don't forget, Dana's mother is the survivor of the cold open from the beginning of the film. And she shows up. Dana lets her know, we killed Russ, but Russell's mother is still killing people. They get into a fight, blah, blah, blah. You get the big heroic ending. And of course, the mom does kind of something that seems physically impossible for a woman her size. She actually takes the drill bit, that big ass 2-inch drill bit, from the big drill, from Russ's big drill, and actually jams it through Kay's chest. Seems a little unlikely, but
cool.
It's a slasher movie, exactly. It's unlikely, but it looked great. And it's a mildly satisfying ending. It's not the most satisfying ending to me, like I said, because they went with the Friday the 13th trope. And like I said, Betsy Palmer did it way better 41 years ago. So, what does that say about Kay? And then, but the thing is, you got to give Kay some credit, man. She took out a lot of people before they killed her. She took a lot of damage, and she took out a lot of people a fraction of her age. So rock on.
With multiple weapons too, man.
Yeah, that's right. Nail guns. I don't know that the mom ever actually used Russ's drill, but yeah, mom was very averse with weapons. Obviously, living in the woods, it's probably going to do it for you. So yeah, that is Slumber Party 2021. I can't say it enough, folks. If you go into it with lower expectations, I think you're going to find some stuff to enjoy in this. If you go in expecting an A24 film, you're going to be drastically disappointed. But I also don't think anybody with half a brain would make that mistake. So, rock on with bad selves, my horror brothers.
Only the guys in this film would probably make that mistake.
Yeah.
Unless they're planning on her father or grandmother coming back as the next killer. It looks like they made this one to be a one-off, which is good.
Oh my God. I got breaking news from the other show.
Robert Englund.
Ari Aster and A24 are making a Slumber Party Massacre 2. The remake.
Once they have the guitar, I'm in.
A sequel
Oh, that
to
was something
this
else
one.
that I liked, actually, that I didn't actually mention. The fact that Russell fights one of the male characters with the guitar from Slumber Party Massacre 2. It's not the one with the drill on it. It's just the guitar. But the fact that we actually see Russ with his drill and this other guy with the guitar fighting, it definitely gave me 80s vibes. Like I'm thinking, ooh, there's the the driller killer versus driller killer fight that we never got in the 80s. So I did enjoy that callback. There's multiple Easter eggs in here if you're really familiar with the original Slumber Party series, which I am not. But I did read a couple of reviews that say there are a lot of Easter eggs there to be found. So like names of characters and things like that, stuff that I wouldn't have recognized because, like I said, I'm not that big a fan. But for whatever it's worth, I'm going to say I enjoyed this movie way more than I thought I would. And because of that, I walk away with a very positive feeling about this, as opposed to the multi-million-dollar atrocity that we talked about last week that left me feeling a little flat. Like I said, it was a middle chapter of a greater story, and I felt like, why did I even come to the theater? Like,
and same subgenre, so that's interesting too.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
I'm going to be on.
Go
He's
ahead.
on IMDb. This one's getting higher rating.
Is it really?
When I upload them, I gave Halloween a 6. I'm giving this a 7.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to shit on Halloween Kills. Like, as I said last week, I didn't hate it. There's parts of it that I like, but obviously there's a lot of failures in that movie that we talked about last week, so there's no need to repeat it. But like I said, expectations are a thing. As much as I like to say I don't do expectations, when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar horror event, there are certain expectations. When It Chapter 1 came out in 2017, there were certain expectations. Luckily, for most of us, we were satisfied with that movie. With Halloween Kills, it seems like it is still satisfying a lot of hardcore fans. I see a lot of people online that love it, but I also see a lot of people like us who maybe didn't love it as much. And man, the vitriol online between lovers of Halloween Kills and haters of Halloween Kills is so entertaining right now. Twitter is just so fun right now. If you're a horror movie fan.
It's great. It's why I'm staying out of it because
And you know what? I don't blame you. I'm almost jealous. I wish I had never gotten on the Twitter thing because now I can't get away from it. Especially
it's not even
multiple...
like Twitter with that movie. It's like Facebook too. It's like you can't even post about that movie without somebody commented on it.
It's true. I mean, whether you love it or you hate it, you're gonna get somebody to disagree with you in the comments and try to start an argument, and it's just not worth it. It's just a movie, folks. Like it, hate it, and move on. It doesn't matter. So, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Mortal Kombat all over again.
There you go. I did love Mortal Kombat, though.
I did too. Fuck Mike.
I don't know. Anybody else?
At least
got
it's not Mortal Kombat Kills.
Oh,
that's
God.
That's coming next with Johnny Cage.
And then Mortal Kombat ends. With Goro. Oh no, Goro's dead, so it'll be Motaro.
Oh, Kintaro, the giant cat one.
Oh man. What do we got here? Oh yeah, I wrote down in my notes. This is the first slasher. This is one of the first slasher movies I've ever seen with a walking chase. There's actually a walking chase in this movie because both the killer,
both wounded.
Yeah, they're both wounded, so they're both like limping, but the music is still like intense, like they're running, but they're still
like Animal House,
literally limping away from each other. I thought it was hysterical.
It's like Animal House.
Who's just a little less hurt to like close the distance or get into the house? That was good.
But I mean. To close out my thoughts, I'm basically going to say that this was a decent movie with equal parts stupidity and charm. So depending on what side of the fence you fall on, it might work for you or it might not. For me, it worked. I'm done.
Yeah,
it worked for me.
I think Slumber Party Massacre, it's designed to be kind of dumb anyway, and so I would say in this subgenre, it's fine. It did what it was supposed to do for the most part, and added a wrinkle into it that made it interesting as far as where they went once they dispatched of the original or main killer, like an hour into it. There's a real chance that from that point on it would just wither away as a movie and not be fun or entertaining anymore. But they managed to figure it out. And I agree. The whole mom being like, okay, now the mom's that wasn't the most original or best thing, but overall, still the movie I think handled everything well, and very surprised at how much I liked it.
One last insult from me. This movie has the worst looking pizza ever.
Yeah, that pizza looks like fucking cardboard.
But they showed two pizzas. They showed the pizza in '93 during the cold open. That pizza looked like garbage. Then they showed pizza of the New Girls, and that pizza looked like garbage.
The new pizza looked even worse. It was like a plain cheese pizza, but it looked like cardboard. Like
it looked like that shit you got from school, like at high school.
I won't lie. I would probably eat the fucking '93 pizza if I was shit-faced enough.
It looks like Brooklyn pizza because it's those big ass slices, but it's really thin.
I think it's reminiscent of the original pizza from the original movie, kinda.
Oh, maybe that's one of the Easter eggs that I missed. So if that actually is an Easter egg, then I'm okay with it. That's cool. But I just remember thinking both pizzas are very distinct styles. Like, like I said, one is more Brooklyn style and one is more like frozen, like a DiGiorno type pizza.
Celeste.
Yeah,
Celeste.
thank you. Tombstone or something. Red Baron.
But
yeah, both pizzas looked awful. So this movie hates pizza. That's the point I'm gonna try to make here. This movie hates pizza.
Tony's a Red Baron.
I'd rather eat Red Baron than fucking Celeste.
Yeah.
It's worse.
I love Red Baron. Fuck you. I love Red Baron.
Red Baron's fine. Celeste is nasty. It's like aren't they like a buck or something? It's just gross.
I know the last time I had Tombstone,
have no money.
It sucked. The last time I had a Tombstone frozen pizza, that was awful.
Marie Callender's isn't bad.
Haven't had one of those.
I love their chicken
probably
pot pies.
Newman's is okay.
And that's the end of our pizza conversation.
Yeah, DiGiorno's good.
Yeah,
It's coming soon. The Pizza Podcast.
The Pizza Cast
I like it.
with extra toppings. All right.
Oh, Mike's got to ruin everything.
Hey, we needed a subtitle.
He ruined our fucking Cinema Attack show. He ruined everything. He is the worst. Aren't you glad you invited me on, Michael?
Yes. With potential return visits coming soon.
With special guest star Willis. Hi there, Michael.
Oh, we got to
I was gonna say
Derek both on
potential. I was gonna say future guest spots in Jeopardy now.
Hey, Don, if you ever need a break. Hey, everybody. It's me, Don.
No, you can't do Don.
I can do everybody. It's an act of love.
Don is an
You're not
original.
gonna do me like the gay old guy from Family Guy, all right?
It's okay, Don. You could be
I'm
the
saying,
gay.
I don't sound like
What's
the
his name?
pedophile.
Herbert?
Yeah,
Herbert.
sound
Yeah.
like-
I hope you got good news for me.
When he sings "The Time of My Life," and I had the time of my life.
I'm gonna go kill an old Nazi now.
Yeah, he did.
all right, let's just get this shit show.
Why are we talking
over
about
with.
Family Guy?
Let's
Yeah.
just get this shit show on the run.
All right.
It's
well,
the tangents
yeah.
they come for.
Oh man.
Venom, where else can people hear you, and any other impressions you want to close out with?
God, no. I'm terrible at impressions. We had to delay the main episode of No More Room in Hell because of storms in California potentially affecting Mike and I's kind of, our internet connection. So we postponed the new show. We're hoping to record it this Saturday with very thin hopes of actually having it out by Halloween the next day. Likely it'll be out first week of November, but that show is still planned. It is our witch show, where we are looking at a couple of under-discussed witch movies. We're looking at 1972's Season of the Witch by the great George A. Romero, and 2013's Witching and Bitching by Alex de la Iglesias, the same man who wrote and directed The Day of the Beast, which I absolutely adore. So it was just a no-brainer to bring that into the show for our underappreciated witch movies. So look out for that. Hopefully by Halloween, but if not, first week of November. On Creature Comforts, episode 2 will be out. As you listen to this episode, the episode will be out. And on episode 2, Don, Derek, and myself discussed 1941's The Wolfman. Had a really good time with that one. That was kind of a quickie episode. We just kind of were in and out with our reviews. But then for episode 3, as I announced on the end of episode 2, we will have our first guest host, and that will be Bo Ransdell from the Dark Parade and other Legion podcasts. He'll be joining us for our review of 1954's Them. Yes, we're delving into nuclear monsters for the first time on Creature Features. Giant ants for the win, so look out for that. That'll be our November episode. So, don't look out for that until at least Thanksgiving. But the Wolfman will be out as you're listening to this. And then pretty much all my other shows have been kind of on hiatus for October. As I said, Underwater Kaiju, we did do an episode early in the month where we looked at, Gamera versus Baragon, and continued our retrospective of the original Ultraman series. And like I said, It's Not Horror is on hiatus. In the Mic of Madness will finally be back. I've been announcing it for like a month, but we're finally recording this coming Thursday. And we're basically just going to do a tribute to 1981. So it won't be any necessarily feature reviews. What we're going to do is it's going to be like an award show type thing where Becca and I came up with 15 different award categories. And we're only going to be using 1981 films for the winners of each category. So, like I said, that'll be recorded just before Halloween. Once again, I'm not sure if it's going to be out by Halloween, so look for it in the first week of November. All of those are available on the Dark Discussions podcast network, except for Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, which is available on the Legion podcast network. And then I got about a dozen guest spots, and I'm not going to go over all of them because it's just too many. October is filled with guest spots for me, so flip a coin and you'll probably find a podcast with me on it. That's it for me, Mike.
Okay, Don, what do you got?
Okay, as mentioned, Creature Comforts episode 2 should be out soon. Creature Comforts 3 to be recording soon. Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space. Not sure why Jerry hasn't posted that yet. It's been...
I wasn't going to say anything, but okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, we recorded that like almost a month ago. So I'll probably hit him up tomorrow and be like, you posted this, right? Unless somebody else wants to do it for me, just so I don't sound like a dick. But that should be out by now. Other than that, just 2 guest spots. My appearance on Indie Film Cafe's 31 Days of Indie Horror Films, where I looked at the 2021 film Butchers, and guest spot on Cut to the Chase, where I talked the werewolf movie Cursed with Dan and Lacey for their Thrills and Chills holiday season. So, yeah, that's my list.
Sweet. Derek, what do you got for people to listen to?
You can find me on NFW. Wildman Willis is my YouTube channel. Check it out now. Honestly, I don't have nothing, Mike. Actually, sad story. I actually overslept, and there was no new Cinema Attack episode recorded, so no one will ever hear how I felt about Tales of Halloween. Spoiler alert: I fucking hated it. But I like some of the. I'll give a quick review of that movie real quick. Wow, since I don't really have nothing to talk about, I like the shorts, but as an overall product, it made no sense to be an anthology because they didn't connect at all.
Other than they were all in the same town.
Yeah, but it felt like they felt like an ABC's A Death anthology, which I didn't like. It felt like, oh, let's just direct this scene and make a short out of this, and then it didn't really have any connecting tissue like, say, Trick or Treat. You know what I mean? In that sense.
Kinda.
It was just kind of sucked.
It's been a while. I do remember crapping on it for that reason, that there was no point to it. I'd have to revisit it again because I saw it when it came out, and I kind of agree, but I don't remember specifics about
Yeah, for sure. It was like a first time watch for me too this year, and yeah, I'm like, damn, I wish I recorded that show because I would have went off. I would have turned into Venom.
No, you wouldn't, because I love that movie.
I would have been the anti-Venom then.
There you go.
Carnage.
Yeah, I mean, again, Tales from Halloween. I don't go into horror anthologies, especially ones that are released right around Halloween, with too high of expectations. But for whatever it's worth, there was a couple of stories in it that I did kind of like, for whatever, and I do own it too, and I just haven't watched it in a couple of years. It's not an annual watch for me. I will say that, as opposed to like a Trick or Treat or Halloween or whatever the hell else. But yeah, love may be a stretch. I did enjoy it. I liked it a lot. Let's go with that.
Yeah, but anyways, just check me out on NFW, everybody. This is Fuck You, Suzanne, Suspiria remake for life.
Oh man. All right. As far as I go, yeah, nothing really that I didn't mention last time. Nothing new since then. But as far as we go, coming up, we are tentatively recording No More Room in Hell that we missed recording this coming up weekend, hopefully. And then, like I said, or I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the show, we might be doing a 2-4 with fresh cuts, not 2 movies, 1 episode, but actually 2 actual episodes because of the way the release schedule got changed at the last minute. It kind of either left us no choice or to have to not cover one. And since they're both theatrical releases, we try to cover all of those. So we will figure it out. We'll probably discuss off air how we want to do it.
Dirty hooker, Michael. Dirty hooker.
Well, there's no discussion there. We're always in for that. So,
would you be the last guy to eat her up?
Oh God,
no.
Jesus.
I probably wouldn't be the first, last, or any in that case.
I knew a guy that was the last, and he enjoyed the hell out of it.
As a new
God.
guy on the show, I think I'm contractually obligated to be the third on the totem pole. So, I think that kind of alleviates Mike and Venom from that part of the ordeal.
Yeah, I'll drive. I'm not participating.
Yeah, I'll watch from afar, I guess.
There you go.
But yeah, so look for lots of stuff coming out in the next week from, I guess, all of us, since everyone here is part of one of the shows, or if not both. So we will be hearing from all 4 of us with our shows and other stuff coming soon. So keep your ears open for that. And man, guys, it's Halloween week. Like literally, Halloween is coming up. October flew by. I can't believe we're already like at the last week of it, but that's crazy.
Yeah. I did so many podcasts this month. It literally feels like I blinked and the month was gone. I couldn't even tell you half the movies I've watched this month off the top of my head if I hadn't written them down.
I can't either. I've got my letterboxd on. I can't even. I was like, wait, I watched that?
Yeah.
This month is a blur for most of us.
Yeah. I can't wait till it's over. It's like a Sierra Leone dream.
There you go. And then it's Italian Horror Month. Woo!
I'm really excited for that. I got really challenging not to want to watch Giallo for Halloween because I want to watch more horror movies, but then it's like, well, I got a Italian Horror Month next month. Like, why do I want to watch it now and spoil that? So
there you go.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it now. Fuck Suspiria.
Jesus.
All right.
Gotta get out of here.
With that said, yeah, let's get the hell out of here and say good night to the listeners.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Adios. Don't forget your pajamas.
Peace.
Later.
I'm not shy, I'll say it. I've been picturing you naked. I'm a little faded. You look like a fucking painting. Big doe eyes, amazing. She's everything I've been praying. My heart palpitation. She looks like the type to break it. Me and you.